I don't remember what year it was, but it was probably around 76 someplace. And we were formulating the college, and we needed a logo. And we were considering that, and I was out jogging one morning in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It was a beautiful day. The sun was just coming up. And the logo just showed up in my vision, full blown, just like it is, or close enough. And so that was it. But it wasn't like the symbols were new to me. The combination was, the way it was put together was unique. The basic structure is a triangle, a circle, a rose with light radiating from behind it. And the colors have some significance also. So in the center is this rose, and it looks like it's changing into purple. I think the latest version, it is more or less purple, and that's a good idea. But it was basic. It's an ancient symbol, the rose, that has to do with the unfolding of the soul. So education is the unfolding of the soul, and the development of the soul, blooming of the soul. Anyway, so, and behind it, this radiant golden light, which symbolizes the guidance of that education, is it's a spiritual guidance. We could say whatever inspires you it's spirit inspired. So for my orientation, it was the Holy Spirit or the Christ. It could be anything that's inspiring and comes from a deep spiritual consciousness, not just something random. It's like a Buddha or a Muhammad, some deeply connected, a Krishna. So that kind of depth of inspiration and guidance. And then there's more aspects to that. In some ways, what's coming to mind is the parallel inspiration for this is Emerson's The American Scholar. So he talks about a nation. Things have progressed, now it's the world. It was a nation then. Will be built for the first time, inspired by the soul of those people participating in it. And so that has a lot to do with this. And there's a certain kind of wisdom that he talked about, the scholar having, and that's within themselves they access all wisdom, all spiritual wisdom, all wisdom of the natural world. So that has to do with the circle and the triangle. The circle, being green, also had to do with the wisdom of nature, sustainability, environmental, and also the wisdom of life, the wisdom as it exists in the created world, the circumference. Steiner talked about the soul. Your soul approaches you from the horizon, and so that's also contained within that. So here we are in the center, looking out at life, and life reflects back to us. And so in that relationship between essence and the life we live, that's all contained within this interdimensional relationship with everything. So that what needs to unfold inside of us comes to us reflected back. So we engage. It's actually engaging ourselves. And from a deep level of intelligence that permeates life, because that's the level of coordination. So there's this approach here that implicit in all life is this field of intelligence, this field of loving that unconditionally reflects back to you what you need to unfold in your life. So the education comes at that place where we engage our life. And what we do with that then has to do with whether it's a short course or a long course. in terms of our transformation. So then the triangle, there's a basic relationship between the kind of magnetic personality, dualistic, sometimes adversarial, sometimes cooperative world that we live in. So this created world, the world of the physical world, is even the physics of it's based on an interaction of a duality, plus and minus, male, female, and that has to do with actually a current of energy. Talk about electricity and its positive and negative pole, and all that is in it. And so when we're pretty well identified with our personality, operating from fear, having to make our way, be safe, be successful, get what we need, we're always in this polarized relationship where we're oriented outside of ourselves, basing our self-concept and the actions we take on how we manipulate the world as we see it, reflected back to us. So that's the polarity. Well, being who we are, we have the capacity to also operate as a high self or a soul self. And so that's the apex of the triangle. So the approach then is to learn how to deal with life in terms of a higher integration. I think it was probably a lot of people talked about this, but people like to quote Einstein because he's made a name for himself, I guess, as an unusual intellect. Anyway, so any change that comes has to be looked at from the level above. So any problem you want to solve has to be solved from a level higher than it. So we have to go to this higher level of consciousness. So that's essentially this triangular relationship. So we're always looking at ways to resolve the polarity or the adversity from a higher perspective. And so there's a lot of ways to do that. One is just, for instance, you might not notice it, but in a congenial dialogue, and this is not debate or argument, that's still polarity, but in a congenial dialogue or a dialogue that is intended to reach a deeper level of understanding, there's a transformational process occurs because of the nature of our consciousness when it relates. And so in that rapport, the dialogue starts to transform. So that implies a triangle embedded in that, because it's a higher integration of the polarity. And just in the relationship of two people talking, you have a polarity, and in there, if it's heart-based, heartfelt, then it has the higher consciousness is present also. So that's also demonstrated in this triangle. In just basic intuition, we're stuck with something in life, and we go inward and we check in with our higher consciousness for an answer, or through prayer or whatever. So that's again the triangle. So we have this life in this, phenomenal physical world of the circle and all that's related, and at the same time, which is a wholeness in itself. And then we have this capacity to relate to it transcendentally. So we're in the duality at the same time. We're bigger than that. We're in the wholeness. So that's the process of the triangle. Another application of that we look at is when we're dealing with something and we begin to deconstruct it. This has a lot to do with, I like to start with Husserl and his development of phenomenology, where he looked at something like anything, a chair, clock, problem, issue, other person, And so our perception, we formulate an idea, our idea of something. So whether it's an incident in our life that we've responded to and formed a belief around, that crystallizes, becomes a thing, placed in our consciousness, and starts to shape how we see things and how we can access ourself. But that's just as true of a physical object, like like I said, a chair or water bottle. We have a fixed idea of that. So we structure that interpretation, and so we respond to that in terms of how we agree on it. Well, from Husserl's perspective here, he looked at things as everything has an intentionality or purpose or process to it that's deeper, but then it gets caught in our belief about it or our perception about it. And so when we focus on that and then bracket it and then start to deconstruct it, it frees up the truth of it and actually takes the observer into a higher state of consciousness in which they apprehend or just know directly the meaning of it or the truth of it. So that's another thing that's symbolized in this triangle in the process of our learning. So the whole logo is really represents the process of transformative learning, transformative education.